I tried to review Remnant 2. It's the sequel to one of my favorite games from the past 3 years. I played Remnant from the ashes only because Epic Games Store made it free to own. After reading some reviews and listening to my acquaintances, it becomes clear that it's a good game. It's like Souls game but with guns. We played this game for a long time and revisited it throughout the years as my friends slowly discovered the game. Remnant was our go-to co-op game. We explored the different worlds in this game, hunted for the gear we wanted, and built characters that we like to use. It was a fantastic experience overall. However, the game was boring when I played it alone. The narrative was weak, the story was uninteresting, and the NPCs apart from Mudtooth and McCabe were forgettable. One of the things I particularly like about the original was the boss weapons. They were based on how I defeated the boss. Additionally, the boss of the era could be different with every world reroll. The game had this system where paths could differ, loot would vary, enemies and bosses would change, and even dungeons. I love that! It made the grind and the hunt for the items and gear worth it and not tiring at all. These are the things I'm looking forward to in this sequel. I would appreciate it if they improve the story and NPC interactions. What worlds will they allow us to explore? The gear we can hunt and use, the traits we can upgrade to make our characters powerful, and most importantly, finally getting rid of McCabe. I want another person to craft our weapons. McCabe is a bitch! How will this game present these features to us? What improvements have they added to the experience? All these questions are lingering in my mind while I'm in bed as I was sick when the game was released and couldn't buy or play it. But the wait was worth it. Remnant 2 is still a wonderful experience from start to finish. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to talk about the things I like in this game in detail. Every aspect of the original game has been improved, enhancing the overall quality of life. One thing I had some issues with the original was the map. Now, the map is in 3D. I can easily discern whether the path I'm about to take will lead me up or down. I also appreciate that when you're close to a chest or loot, a yellow or purple circle appears on your minimap. This is a very helpful addition, especially since spotting these chests and items that blend seamlessly into the environment is one of my weaknesses. The single player experience has improved significantly. I managed to finish the game alone, which was impossible for me in the first installment. The story of the original game didn't engage me and I grew bored traversing the worlds on my own. However, here the experience is quite enjoyable most of the time, although there are still locations that bore me. Initially, I felt that enemies were a bit like bullet sponges, perhaps because they are tougher now compared to the original. With time and weapon upgrades, they become easier to defeat. The boss fight have also seen substantial improvement. Previously, I could panic dodge and survive the onslaught, but now, understanding the boss attack patterns, knowing when to use the healing items, and identifying the right moments and places to strike are crucial. Ignoring these aspects leads to punishment by the boss. While some bosses were challenging in the past, it's even better now. More challenging. I somewhat overestimated my expertise and underestimated the game, resulting in my defeat by common enemies and repeated trashing by bosses, especially the Red Prince, again and again. This forced me to call down to the veteran difficulty level and create a new character. Let me repeat, Interloper. It appears that I haven't learned my lesson from playing Elden Ring either. Morgoth killed me 70 plus times and I overestimated my skill there as well. I cannot stress this enough. The game is significantly harder now. It seems they've adjusted enemy attack timing, reduced iframes, and slightly increased our hitbox. As you can see, the attack missed me despite proximity. But now, attacks that I thought would miss, well, connect. Additionally, they've enhanced the design of bosses and enemies. The enemies on Earth from the original game weren't particularly intimidating. aside from a few special monsters. However, now, no boy, even the bulls are quite menacing. The worlds that we can explore, some of them feel a little familiar, reminiscent of the original. Asia is still here, while Nerud reminds me of Rom, a darker version with lethal fogs. The labyrinth now harbors enemies and secrets. It's not merely a portal between worlds. Ruth Earth, essentially a fucked up Earth, offers a more twisted experience, and then there's Loathsome. Loathsome. Come on, folks, this is Yarnum. The only missing elements are the eerie church bell tolls, a woman dressed like a crow that says Hunt, and the cleric beast's howl. That all this place needs, the howl. Well, not that it's a negative. I truly appreciate revisiting the horrors and nightmares Bloodborne subjected me to in Remnant 2. Loathsome is brimming with eerie elements and characters. Fuck? Kids? Hello, kids? They're all blind. The story, after reading the explanation of the ending, is better than the original. The ending of the original, well, the vanilla one, had me scratching my head. I didn't understand what we achieved. The root was still rampant. What did we save? What were the consequences of our actions? Was there another ending? Yeah, Sawyer story was genuinely confused. With Remnant 2's ending, I had the same initial feeling. So people, learn from my massive mistake. Don't just skip the credits of this game because you'll end up like me, confused for days. Did I ever mention that I'm an idiot? I won't divulge anything about what happened at the end, but I assure you it worth the trouble. It leagues better than the original. However, don't expect multiple endings. Another substantial element of any game story is its characters, NPCs. By the way, before I forget to mention it, our character talks now in cutscenes.
I'd have stayed with your father.
Oh, that is quite a drop. Let me help you down.
I've got this.
However, not during dialogues. Maybe the devs knew that most of us would just skip the dialogue, especially after completing the story. So no harm done, right? Clementine, whom I didn't recognize at first due to being awestruck by her beauty, is the core of the story. Unlike the other founder character, Founder Ford, who is still missing from 90% of the game. Aside from showing us around the new Ward 13, the old one, and being pulled in by the stone, that's his contribution to the game. Now that I think of it, he didn't really play a big role even in the original. Founder Ford isn't the only returning character. Rick is still here, ready to take our scraps to upgrade our weapons. McCabe is still a bit of a bitch, although not as much as before, and is still working on this engine. Still busy doing that after all these years, huh? She still reluctantly take bosses' items and craft them into weapons or weapon mods. Mudtooth and Reggie are both here as well, sitting beside each other. Of course, Mudtooth still has a lot of stories to tell and stew to sell. Reggie is still selling helpful items like ammo boxes that are truly essential for our survival. Whispers, who now sells armor, our old armor. If I had known that he sold those, I would have bought the Radiant set much earlier. There are new NPCs too. Cass, the woman we adventured with at the beginning of the game, and who saved us from being flattened, will eventually sell important items. Wallace has replaced the Root Mother. He's the one who upgrades our relics. Nimue, the Fey Goddess, her location reminds me somewhat of Shifra River, that particular river in Elden Ring. She can craft some items for you, especially things connected with the Night Weaver and the Red Prince. There's the NPC that I showed earlier who communicates through these blind children and weaves, and many more. I wasn't exaggerating when I said this game made a lot of improvements, including its NPCs, dialogues, and story. Speaking of improvements, let's dive into the heart of the game. The weapons, the traits, the armor sets, and everything we can acquire to bolster our characters. How about them? Well, since I haven't begun adventure mode yet because of a certain someone spilled liquid on their laptop, causing them to delay purchasing the game, my arsenal is quite limited. Nonetheless, the weapons I have managed to obtain are quite amazing. Take the medic's base weapon, the LMG, for instance. Initially, it was somewhat annoying due to its overheating mechanics. You can switch to your sidearm when it overheats. But I eventually learned that burst firing not only helps with bullet spread, but also assists in managing its heat build-up. The ricochet gun has made its return, and the accompanying mod is nothing short of brilliant. It leaves me curious and impatient about the guns I have to try. My FOMO instinct is taking hold, and I don't quite like it. But I must wait to hunt for them. I want to share the experience with one of my friends, so I'll resist the urge. The weapon mods that provide us with skills are still satisfactory, although I haven't found many of them. The mods I've acquired are not vastly different from those in the original game, but I have spotted some promising mods that I cannot wait to acquire. As for the melee weapons, I only have 4. My favorite is the Trouble one. I'd also like to note that the animation for melee weapons feels more fluid than before. Shooting your guns and then using your melee weapon feels seamless. Now, the mutators, a new addition. This adds specific buffs such as faster reload speed or increased damage the longer you aim. This addition is very much welcome. It's a change that can enhance our builds and make them stronger. As for the armor set, as mentioned before, some are sold by Whispers. You can't upgrade them anymore, which might disappoint some veterans. However, I don't particularly mind that armor can't be upgraded anymore. In my opinion, I can now use any armor I like without worrying about weakening my character. I can change armor sets freely. The armors available to us aren't just limited to what Whispers sells. Some armor sets can be hunted down, and some of them are connected to various archetypes. Speaking of which, archetypes are a new feature in Remnant 2. Unlike before where we focus on farming trait points to spend on traits gained through exploration or defeating enemies, archetypes functions like classes in this game. The best part is, you can dual class with archetypes. This grants us more choices than simply distributing points to traits. Even better, archetypes provide us with actual skills. Combining weapon mods, archetype skills, and weapons, there's a plethora of tools at our disposal to defeat enemies or buff ourselves, even more than before. The only potential downside, if it can be called a downside, is the low cap on trait points. Last I've heard, the cap was at trait level 65. Before, 65 trait points would merely max out 3 traits and provide 5 additional points. Also, you don't earn trait points every time you level up in Remnant 2. The archetypes are the ones that level up. Additionally, the maximum trait level has been lowered from 20 to 10. I don't mind this change, since I'm content with the archetype. Surrendering some of those valuable trait points for this new system seems like a fair trade to me. Several smaller changes have been introduced as well. Now, you can equip 4 rings simultaneously, and armor sets now includes gloves. The Dragon Heart, which functions like the Estus flask of this universe, offers choices now. Unlike before where you were stuck with the Dragon Heart, you can now change the relic that not only heals you, but also provide buffs. Relics can also be equipped with mods, which you can obtain by killing enemies or purchasing random ones from a familiar looking NPC. You can acquire these relics through exploration or by buying one from Cass. There's still a lot I haven't experienced and many places I haven't explored in this game. That's what I appreciate about it, the need for multiple playthroughs. The replayability it offers means that with every reroll, there's a new path waiting for me to explore. Even the side quests and puzzles are still present and have been improved to some extent. Many people may describe Remnant from the Ashes as Dark Souls with guns, a description I disagree with. To me, Remnant from the Ashes leans more towards being a looter shooter. A true Souls game must possess a well-crafted story, impressive environmental storytelling, and combat that keeps me on the edge of my seat. It's not just about additional text on items and a dodge roll. However, upon completing Remnant 2's story, my argument is weakening. Not because Remnant's story now matches the quality of a Souls game story, but due to the other half of the formula, gameplay. Every encounter with a hostile in Remnant 2 can quickly go wrong, even on a lower difficulty setting. A single mistake can prove fatal, which was also a missing element in Remnant from the Ashes. The feeling that every encounter, not just with bosses, can go either way was lacking. Remnant 2 has made me change my opinion. This is indeed a Souls game with guns. I'm hopeful that when Remnant 3 is released, and I'm confident that we're getting one, it will eventually shed the Dark Souls comparison and become a game that we define as Remnant. I have nothing but admiration and gratitude for the developers of this game. They've crafted a game that improves upon every aspect of the original. They've truly created a sequel that rightfully deserves the 2 in its title. I'm eagerly anticipating sharing this experience with my close friends. This is precisely the type of game I'm always seeking. A game I can replay multiple times without succumbing to boredom or fatigue after the credits rolls. There are many potential complaints I could raise about this game, yet I find myself unable to. The cons are entirely overshadowed by the game's strengths. It's a must-have for anyone in search of a challenging, enjoyable, and most importantly, well-designed game. To all the ladies and gentlemen who have made this far in this video, I wholeheartedly recommend that you purchase this game, support its developers, support Remnant 2, and above all, support good game design. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Was rough.